So the budget's just over, and the hint was given actually yesterday by the Prime Minister when he said that he was praying to Goddess Lakshmi to to ensure that the middle class is properly blessed, and that's what he did. I mean, if there is a central core to the budget, it is to raise the consumption of the middle class and give a waiver to income tax up till an income of 12 lakhs. Now, how they've done it is a matter of detail, but what they've done is they've not actually exempted it up to 12 lakhs, but the exemptions that you get for slabs below that, up to 12 lakhs, taking those exemptions into account, it basically becomes free of income tax. In fact, for a salaried employee, the income tax waiver or zero income tax is up to 12.75 lakhs, which is 75,000, which is an extra exemption which the salaried class gets. So that's definitely the positive flavor. Now, the thinking behind this whole exercise, and it was expected, is that the middle class, which is a 400 million strong demography, is the main sufferer and has not been able to consume because of a pressure on income. And that is what the government tried to solve by giving some kind of waiver to see that more money comes into the pocket of the middle class and consumption begins. And the whole philosophy of the budget in that sense is to kickstart some amount of consumption, which will then impact manufacturing, which will then impact a free flow of goods of FMCG, white goods, etc. And this would then, in turn, would generate more jobs and so on. So that's one way of sort of cranking up the economy. So this is at the central part. On the other hand, the other aspects of increasing consumption, if you see, which is not so much noticed by the experts, is the attempt to give more money in terms of credit to various classes of people. Now, you see, for the agricultural farm workers and for the farm hands, the increase in loans has been upped from about 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs. Similarly, for MSMEs, which is medium and small enterprises, again, the loans have been increased to 20 crores. For startups, which was earlier on, the ceiling was about 10 crores. It's been up to 20 crores. And so a lot of credit release is significant in this budget. If you read between the lines, the attempt is to disburse more credit. Dispersal of increasing credit means an increasing use of money to crank up manufacture and to increase business activity. An increase in business activity means more jobs, more salaries, more income, and therefore more consumption, and therefore a sort of increase in the growth push to the economy. So these are the two major areas which I thought were pushing for a growth, which is one is to release more money to the middle class, and the other is to give more credit to certain sections, especially mass sections like agricultural workers, small entrepreneurs, which are as much as 5.7 crores. I mean, I was amazed at the figure. There are 5.7 crore micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. Now, if these can be sort of regenerated with credit, it will definitely give some boost to the economy. Apart from that, specifically, if you see, the finance minister has tried to address certain specific areas of discomfort, which is serious discomfort. For instance, gig workers. Now, there are millions of gig workers, what we call delivery agents, Zomato and Swiggy, people who go there, those who work in entertainment, casual workers in construction. Now, these gig workers have absolutely no protection whatsoever. And this has been a huge demand right for the last 2 years. And finally, the government has responded and said that they will provide protection, provide ID cards, give them insurance and medical cover. And they've also announced an urban workers fund, which will help the urban workers to get some kind of relief in terms of recognition as well as identity. Once they have identity, then identity cards and regularity of income, then straight away Provident Fund and all the other benefits kick in. So they have made some attempt to do these things. Again, medical relief. 36 drugs have been absolutely exempted from customs duty. About another six life-saving drugs have been kept under the category of 5%, which is the lowest category of customs duty. Now, this will again enhance benefits for old people, etc. Again, senior citizens have been brought into focus where income tax is concerned. Earlier, the exemption was 50,000. Now it's been increased to 1 lakh. Again, see, senior citizens are a very large category. Everybody above 60 years is a senior citizen. So once you're doing that, again, you are putting more money in the pocket of senior families, helping them to consume more and not be sort of, constantly trying to cut corners and see that their consumption is kept low. So these are some of the positive things. At the same time, if you see there's a lot of focus on agriculture, which I mentioned. Here they've tried to identify 100 districts which are backward. And agriculture always forms an important part of budgets, but this time it's a little more focused, where they've tried to identify backward districts and to give specific a specific dose of sort of incentives to see that these districts come up. Now, two or three things which they've outlined, which the budget has outlined, is one is to identify these 100 districts which are extremely backward, so they get an infusion of credit, of irrigation, of other supplementary farm benefits, which will bring these districts up. The other thing which is very significant is that two areas which we import a lot, which is edible oils and pulses. These two areas have been marked out, and an attempt to have self-sufficiency in these two areas so that there's no import of pulses and edible oils. These are important daily consumption items, but of a higher range. They cost more for people. They increase the family budget. So if these can be kept under control, again, the cost of living will go down. So these are certain important things which the budget does. At the same time, you see if you see the markets have reacted. I mean, the other big significant thing is that the capital markets have reacted badly. Initially, the markets had shot up. They had gone up to about 300 points. The BSE was up about 300 points. The NSE was about 100 points. And there was an expectation in certain specific areas, like defense, there would be, increasing infusion of benefits for defense companies. Again, there was an expectation of certain infusion into possibly expectation of certain corporate tax benefits also coming in. But you see, there was absolutely zero or very little benefits going out to big corporate groups, big corporate companies, as well as certain specific sectors which were expecting good benefits. They seem to have been ignored. Now, as soon as the the finance minister started speaking and these things were outlined, the market started falling. And it sustained its deficit about 300, 400 points for the BSE and 150 points. And it's continuously marking down. And no attempt, no attempt to sort of talk up the market has been successful. I mean, there have been a lot of experts saying, okay, this is a good budget, and overall, since there's very little negativity in it, the budget is basically good. But all these talking points have not really lifted the sentiment in any significant way, and the markets is sort of seems to be further going down as we speak. But you see, here you have to see that this was what the expectation was. There was an expectation that perhaps like Trump, which first in his first term had cut the corporate taxes from nearly 30% to 21%, and now he intends to cut it to 15%. That same trajectory would be followed by the Indian government too, which has not happened. Because ultimately, you see, if you go on cutting the tax rate, there's got to be a stop somewhere. And where does the government, where does the nation get its income from? Where does the exchequer sort of benefit from? So ultimately, it has resulted in the US economy bloating out to a huge deficit, because the positives in a lower tax rate generating a higher business turnover, a higher manufacturing turnover, did not really result. And what happened was the US economy has got a huge deficit overhang, which is finding it very difficult to deal with. So possibly these were some of the considerations which the Indian government also took into account, that too many concessions on the tax front would ultimately boomerang on the income collected by the government in taxes, and would ultimately sort of work against developing infrastructure, developing the priorities and the growth areas which the government should develop. And therefore, they've gone really slow on giving any big benefits to the corporate sector. And that is what has resulted in, as far as you see that the way the capital markets have reacted, it's obviously a reaction to that. Possibly one or two concessions have been made. For instance, insurance sector has now been allowed 100% FDI. Earlier on, it was 75%, it's gone to 100%. Again, in property, the second house, where rental income, which used to attract a TDS up to 2.4 lakhs. Now that TDS level has been extended to 6 lakhs. Therefore, again, bringing more money. But this is, again, it's a sort of benefit for the individual owner. It's not a corporate benefit. So overall, if you see, the corporate benefits have been very limited, and that is why the capital market has been marked down. Overall, I think the expectations were much higher. I think the expectations, as far as economists as well as the common man, was that things were not going well for the economy, and you needed many more concessions and capital infusions from the government through the budget to kickstart the economy. I think those things have not sort of materialized. And there has been, though there is a rah-rah kind of environment where if you see the business channels, all the experts are fairly rah-rah. And this is budget after budget, they all give the government 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Some of them give them 10 out of 10. But obviously, that's not the case. The actual expectations at the middle level, at the bottom level, at the private expert level have been muted, and people were expecting much more, which has not happened. Now, that should have happened, because to kickstart consumption, to kickstart growth in the economy, to generate jobs, which will then generate income and consumption, you need much more than the kind of infusions that we have seen in today's budget. And in that sense, to me, it has definitely fallen short of expectations. And hopefully, in the fine print, there will be something which will then benefit. But as of now, I would say that the general environment and the general reaction is that it has fallen short of expectations.